up, Devils? You know what time it is. It's fucking Devil Hour, goddammit. And today's Devils we're going to be responding to are on the albums I didn't like on first listen, but grew on me with more listens. 813 fucking views in 6 days, and comments 86, so quite a bit of fucking comments. And I'm just recording this one at my fucking office here, so I wanted to get a quick one done. So I just gazed at like the first three or so. I saw the first one here. There was automatically a question in there, so here, we're good to go with this. We'll start with this fucking video. And then whatever the fucking rest is on here, I don't even know. But this one was a pretty decent question. Hey, Jdog, was curious if you are looking forward to the new Gramble Isles key record. I saw the announcement from World Terror Committee and couldn't believe my eyes. Seeing GBK at Head Bash back in 2015 was one of the sickest concert experiences ever. Do you have a favorite GBK record? Yeah, me personally, Dan, I'm personally not. I could give two shits less about a new Gramble Isles key album because I think Mocking the Philanthropist is a great album. And then there's that they have a 7-inch which is good, and that one disc that came out, which was I guess they're all the demos and shit, came out kind of recently with 1,000 something. That stuff's good, but the other albums, Judo Beast and Kosherat, I literally thought that stuff was just junk, to be honest with you. That's what's kind of funny too, is like when people consider like Hell's Headbangers, these guys, they like all these racist bands. I'm like, anyone that knows me personally, like 99.9% of this shit, I don't even like. I like a couple bands that I guess they're considered racist, and obviously Grant Bilowski, they're considered in there, but it's like they got one good album. I think the rest of the shit sucks. I've always said it. Like, we get their stuff and stuff, it flies out the door, which is awesome. I'm glad when shit sells, but I'm just like, I think this is one of the most overrated fucking bands of all time. They got one good record in my book. So yeah, me personally, I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm sure a lot of Devils are pumped as fuck. Theogonia. Hey, Jdog, I've asked before, and I'll ask again. Like I said, guys, if your question gets overlooked, just keep on asking. I'll get to it. Looks like this one was overlooked. Why hasn't there been any represses of Witch Tannic Hallucinations by Acid Witch? There's been several. Rob, where you been? I need that in order to complete the set. Also, do you know if any spooky / haunted sounding metal like them? I good Vault Roth too. Their second album deserves an LP. Yeah, we've repressed them several times, and actually, I recently brought it up again to Chase. And the only reason we haven't repressed it in the last couple of years, if that's what you mean, is because our contract expired. I think we had a 5-year deal or whatever to be able to repress the two albums. So we just renewed that contract, and I told Chase to do it with Slasher. I'm sure he probably didn't, but I'm sure we will, because I would like to repress Witch Tannic and Stone. They're definitely overdue for another vinyl pressing, and preferably a different color that's never been done. And as far as their spooky metal, the only band that kind of comes to my mind, they remind me of Acid Witch, even though they don't sound anything like Acid Witch, just because they're kind of slow and it's kind of like the spooky feel, was Abysmal Grief. Kind of more doomish, more heavy metal style rather than doomish death style like Acid Witch. But to me, they just kind of had that spooky feel. And most of their stuff that I've heard of, I've actually thought was really good, which is funny because most of that stuff I generally wouldn't like. But when I first listened to it, I put on the shop. It was one of the albums. I forget, was it Hearse or something? I was like, this is pretty good shit. But generally speaking, I don't like that. But it really caught my ear. It was so unique. So I would say them. So if you haven't heard them, check them out. But again, they don't sound anything like Acid Witch. It just reminds me in the sense that it's slow, doomy, and just eerie. Cardiac Arrest, goddammit. What album have you gotten and loved at first, but over time just thought, man, it's okay, or downright sucks now? It's a good question. I can't imagine that I thought anybody that I picked up that I loved it and I thought downright sucks. There definitely has been stuff where I got it and remember liking it, and you put it on and you're like, it's not as good as I remember. Who would be an example of that? No one's coming straight to my mind. I remember, but this was like years ago. I remember when I went back to like Death Individual Thought Patterns, I was kind of, this isn't very good. Remember it being better type of thing, you know what I mean? But all the stuff that even the Death years, because that was like probably like 10 years ago I heard that and thought it, but then revisiting the Death stuff, I don't think I listened to Individual Thought Patterns again. Going back and listening to like Symbolic and stuff, because Relapse did all those reissues when we got them in. I was like, it's not bad. I was like, it's definitely no Scream Bloody Gore. It's no Mantis demos, and it's not Leprosy. I was like, but it's pretty good metal. It's just after Leprosy, they probably maybe give them to Spiritual Healing at the latest. They probably should have changed the band name, kind of like Carcass and Tiamat and fucking Metallica and all these other fucking bands that Amorphous that should have changed their band name because they drastically changed. They probably should have done that. But listening to it, just let's say it wasn't Death, just listening to it as a metal record, a new band, or whatever. It's been years since I heard it. I'm like, this is better than I remember. But I remember like 10 years ago, so like individual thought patterns. I'm like, yeah, this is even worse than I remember. And not that I ever thought that album was great, but I remember that kind of sticking out. Like, ugh. But I haven't gone and listened to it in the last couple. I think because that stuck in my mind. But as far as something I actually did love that I thought was, like I said, nothing's really come on my mind. But the only kind of thing I can think of is, again, it's kind of going back to some of the more of the classic, like hard rock, like heavy metal bands. Like I do I do like Iron Maiden and Priest and stuff like that. But it's kind of like when I do go back and listen to it, for the most part, it's just kind of like it's good, and I have it. I'm like kind of like I could live without it. If I never heard it again in my life, I'd be totally fine with this because it's kind of like I don't know. They play it on like TV and shit now, and my fucking dad likes it. It's kind of like who cares? Why do I need to listen to this? I'll just go listen to Mortician. It's just this is just why kind of a waste of time in a sense. I don't know. That's just kind of my take. But again, I don't think it sucks or nothing. But it's just those are the kind of just I'm just like I almost feel like I'm wasting my time listening to this. Got a fucking book here from goddamn Goro Stern. It seems like an okay question, but it's a damn essay. I'll come back to it if there's no other questions here, because like I said, I didn't read these. 86, you might be fucked, bro. uh, Layla Level 90. This is a pretty good one. I never really thought about it. What are some of your favorite albums that are mostly or entirely sung in a different language? Fuck, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. It's probably an ignorant American thing. I generally don't like. I do like albums that sing in a totally different language. I do, but I don't like. I remember Azazel. I remember them singing a different language. I doubt they're my favorite by any stretch. I mean, a lot of the Goten stuff's in. A lot of it's in English. A lot of it's not. At least some of it. I mean, a lot of titles, Voido, whatever, and Varjot. Those certainly are in English. But I know you look at the back. A lot of titles are in English. So I don't know if that counts because it's not all like you're saying. It's all in a different language, sung entirely in a different language. So I don't know if that would count. But the Azazel stuff, I remember the first couple of Azazels were a Beasts and Vultures. I think it's the second album. There's one before that. If I'm not mistaken, all that shit is sung completely in I'm assuming Finnish. And it's been a while since I listened to those records, but I did like them. But I highly doubt it'd be my favorite. It's got to be somebody else. But come on my mind that's sung entirely in a different language, my absolute favorite. I don't know, throw some examples in there that you guys think that I might like. But there is the bands I definitely do. But generally speaking, I don't like that as a whole. The only reason, just ignorant Americans, because I like to know. A lot of times I like to know the song titles. You know what I mean? And I can't. Well, obviously I can't pronounce this, so I don't know. As far as not knowing what they're saying and shit, kind of don't care about that for the most part because if it's death or black metal, it's fucking I can't understand what the fuck he's saying anyways. Uh, from Bing Boom Pow, Gallery of Suicide was 98. Can you talk about all your favorite Immolation albums? I'm going to kind of skip this question, just watch past videos where I kind of talked about my favorite Immolation albums. It seems like, and a few, within the last 2 weeks, definitely in at least two videos, probably even more. So I've definitely mentioned it, my favorite ones in there. But for the very first one, Here and After, for sure is my favorite. First one I picked up, and that is my favorite. We got fucking, here we go. We got a pretty cool one here. Molder, I'm assuming the band. He says, Ted does vocals for Melting Rot, not me. He also sings for organ failure. So I'm assuming because the one guy said, I guess it's in this video because I do remember the comment. He said that the Melting Rot singer does the the Molder vocals, and I assumed it was organ failure as well because I looked it up or whatever in Metal Archives and it led me to whatever, and I searched it on YouTube and I was like, oh, this is good shit too. And the vocals are all drastically different. So it sounds like the Melting Rot that I looked up, the singer for that, I can't remember his name, does vocals for organ failure as well. What do I call it? Organ donor, organ dealer, or some shit like that. Obviously, organ failure. Pretty cool name too. But he doesn't do the vocals for Molder, which somebody said that he did. I only play drums for Melting Rot, so I don't know who the fuck where I got whatever I got this. I play guitar, vocals, and Molder, and everything in granulated. Glad you enjoy the tunes. Cheers. Yeah, the Melting Rock, blah, blah, I'm absolutely a huge fan of that. And I do like the Molder and stuff, but the Melting Rock's my favorite. I really enjoyed that disc, what is it, Blood Illusions? Very, very good. Crusader of Blasphemy. Hey, Jdog, isn't Abominator still signed with Hells? Any chance of repressing the first few albums or shirts? Damnation's Prophecy, Subversies for Lucifer, Nocturnal Descent, and the Eternal Conflagration are right there with the four masterpieces from Angel Corpse, the Australian equivalent. I mean, I don't know if they were ever signed to us. We just did, we done a release by them. I'm sure we do other stuff with them. The albums you're mentioning, I'm almost positive. I could be wrong. That Osmos Records owns them, or at least the Subversies and the Nocturnal Descent. I think, I think they may own all of them. And I highly doubt if that's the case. The reason I say that I think he owns them is because it seems like he owns all that shit that he's ever worked with. Doing all the reissues with Marduk and Enslaved and Immortal. It's almost like he signed all these bands in for life. He didn't tell me that. I didn't see any contracts. I just get that vibe because that stuff's old, way even older than the Abominator. The Sadistic Execution. I mean, he's brand new reissue and all that stuff, and we get all that in. They're really, really cool. So I would assume that he's going to do that. And yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he does, because yeah, look at all the reissues Osmos has been doing. And we have a really, really good business relationship with Osmos Hervé over there. We get all the stuff in, so more than likely someone will do it. But I mean, we would be up for it. But I don't know if we have like a contract saying like it was Chase that talked to him. Chase usually talks to a lot of the Australian guys because Chase actually went over to Australia for a month. This is like 15 years ago. Fuck, might even be longer. Something, yeah, about 15 years ago, something in that area. And he met all the guys and hung out with a lot of the bands and stuff like that. And he's always been kind of like in cahoots with a lot of those bands that we deal with. The only guys I've kind of met that we've signed from Australia is the band Destructor, Glenn and them, and they were super fucking cool. I met them because they played Hell's Head Bash, and that was one of the main bands I wanted to see too. Because I'm like, fuck, these guys from Australia, they're never coming back to the U.S. or at least no time soon. And if they do, probably not shitty Ohio. So I was glad to see them too because I figured, what the fuck. Doubtful I'm ever going to get a chance to see them again. But I was surprised how cool they were because even especially Glenn and stuff, it was always Chase to talk to him in emails. I kind of thought he was going to be one of those hood up, spikes on, don't talk to nobody, no smile, and fucking just cavalt as fuck. Like, wasn't like that whatsoever. I don't know why I thought that. I just made it from the photos from the nuclear storm discs and stuff we put on, but he was like super, super cool. Yeah, Human Brisket saying he hardly ever sees a Gothically shirts. That's a good fucking point. Like I'm sure we've had a Gothically shirts, but yeah, not many at all. Especially like album shirts and shit. Yeah, yeah. I'm not. I would say they are a slacker on shirts as well. Well, Manly Man Virga Larga. And I remember you from a couple other comments there, Brava. Definitely a tongue twister of it to pronounce there. Hey man, if you could erase an album from metal history, which album would it be? Or better yet, from Hell's Headbangers releases? There's nothing that Hell's has ever put out that I was like ashamed of or something like that. I want to erase it from history, so I can't really say anything for Hell's. Um, yeah, nobody comes on my mind that I was just like, this was just ass cheeks embarrassing that I want to get rid of it. As far as erase from metal history, I mean, fuck. I mean, depends. I mean, what you want to classify as metal. If people consider Slipknot and shit like that fucking metal, which we know the mainstream people do, but I don't know if the devils over here on this channel would consider that. If that's considered, then crap up. Maybe Slipknot. It's just annoying as fuck. Stillborn Savior. Any plans to reissue Hemorrhage records? Also, what are your thoughts on Pharmacists? Probably the best gore grind band currently, in my opinion. You gotta watch my past videos, bro. You're behind. I talked about my earlier videos, especially. I talked about Pharmacists, praising them left, right, up, and down from here to fucking Sunday on like 10 videos straight. I thought, yeah, the Medical Renditions album. I thought that was the best album of 2020 or 2021 or what the fuck year it came out. I think it was 2020. Best album of the year. Yeah, it was fantastic. As far as reissuing Hemorrhage records, I would love to, but I doubt it because just not for any other reason. But since they signed a Relapse, because I was trying to sign Hemorrhage around the same time before they signed a Relapse. I think Relapse kind of bought the rights because they, as you know, they did reissue all, especially on CD, and I think they did the LPs too of other ones. I mean, the albums that they put out, they definitely did an LP. But I'm trying to think, did it help? Because I have every album on vinyl, like a Medic Cult and stuff. But yeah, I don't think those are on Relapse. But I would imagine Relapse is planning on doing. That would be my guess because from what I understand, and I didn't see the actual contract, is they probably gave Hemorrhage a pretty nice stack of cash, and they're like, but yeah, this is for X, Y, and Z fucking years to release whatever new albums you do, but we also want your back catalog too. Don't know that for sure, but I get the impression that that was the case based off talking to them. But this was like fucking, I don't know, 10 years ago. From Canyon Bickle, do you consider any bands or albums a guilty pleasure? Normally, I'm the fuck what you think type. I agree, but I consider Static X's Cannibal one of my favorite records, which is pretty embarrassing. Definitely my guilty pleasure. I don't know any albums like Static X, but I remember not liking them whatsoever, and then being a band that kind of was like around that Fear Factory type stuff, that fan base. Like, isn't it kind of like industrial mixed with metal? That's the vibe. I know I've heard it. I just know it's. I did not like it whatsoever, but hey, whatever. That's if you dig it, you dig it. But so you mentioning an album, I don't know the name of their albums or anything. But what I would consider a guilty pleasure, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's something in there. I mean, when you say like, I kind of consider 6 Feet Under Warpath. I don't think Haunted's a guilty pleasure at all. I think that album's great. I think if you're into death metal, you don't like that, you got to get your fucking ears cleaned. Warpath just because it's weak as shit. Like, so maybe that. But I do think it's a good album. Um, Again, there's other stuff that I can appreciate or enjoy, different types of music, but I don't consider it guilty pleasure because I don't even buy it. Like I don't own it. Not to be that Cavalt guy, I don't think I own. In fact, I know I don't own anything that's outside of metal. Yeah, even like for example, including like stuff like ACDC and stuff like that, because I own a little bit of that, Priest and stuff like that. I just throw that in like the heavy metal category, but or like some punk and hardcore. But I mean, I don't own any other like even like classic rock. I don't own any classic rock, assuming you don't consider ACDC or Black Sabbath classic rock. If you do, then okay, I own some. But stuff that would just be considered purely classic rock, I don't even know any of that. But I mean, there's some stuff that I do like that could be not metal at all, like a song here or there. But I don't. It's not that I own. So I just me, it's just like I don't know. It's a song in the background. Somebody has it at a party or something. I can appreciate it. But yeah, other guilty pleasures. Fuck. Kind of a Cradle of Filth Midian. I mean, even though I'm not really guilty about it, but I think it's a pretty good album. It's pretty fucking weak. Uh, yeah, those are two that come to mind. That's on my head. Definitely quite a fucking few comments. Let's see, where's some? Oh, got another goddamn book here. I don't even see any question marks in there. They're talking about Bolt Thrower Grave and Merciful Fate. From Metal Musician 6996. Jdog, got a non metal related question. But before that, was going to let you know, in case you weren't aware, Ronnie Palmer from Perdition Temple is now drumming for Malevolent Creation. I did not know that. I did not know that at all. So maybe bring some Perdition Temple records to get signed. Question. I know you're not much of a movie guy, but what is the funniest movie you have ever seen? Funniest movie I've ever fucking seen. I don't know. I mean, the first time I saw Ace Ventura, the first one, I thought that was pretty fucking funny. I mean, I was probably like 10 when I saw that movie. Um, I think the movie Kingpin with the bowling movie. I think that's pretty goddamn funny. Um, I think the movie Disorganized Crime with Ed O'Neill is fucking funny. Um, I mean, there's a bunch of comedy movies. First Dumb and Dumber is really funny. Second one, I saw that in the theaters. It was okay, but definitely kind of stupid. Um, some other comedy movies that I like, drawing a blank, but definitely there's other ones I really like. But the funniest of all time, I don't know if you ever had an all one time funniest from at least not for myself. Um, but yeah, those are some comedy movies that I do like. Ricky J asking if I like Carpathian Forest. I gave my answer very recently, so by the time you see this video, you should definitely. I know you watch all my shit, man. At least I'm pretty sure you do because you comment on goddamn near everything. So I definitely answered because I was kind of surprised. Yeah, nobody answered Carpathian Force, so I gave a pretty thorough answer. I'll do two more here because they're pretty quick since we're at 20 minutes. Life Eternal. My old band played with Mulder at their first show ever a few years back. They opened the show, funny enough, and now they're huge. Yeah, that is funny when that shit kind of happens. Do you have any funny show stories? Any goofy stuff happening at concerts? Not really. I mean, the only kind of stuff that had happened is we were vending at shows, especially one year at MDF, but it was kind of like between me and my brothers. Like, I don't even know if I want to talk about it, to be honest with you. And it wasn't funny. It was just kind of accidents and shit like that. That was kind of like stuff that happened, I guess, an event that happened at a show. So it seemed like that, but that wasn't actually part of the show. It was just we were there. Yeah, funny things happen. I mean, someone might have said something funny at a show or something like that. You know what I mean? Like on stage or whatever. I remember, just seeing Nunslaughter and stuff. They would say stuff that's funny, or Matt Harvey would say something that's fucking funny, or you know what I mean? Maybe Brian Baxter would say something that's funny, but like actually funny at the fucking show. Well, I got actually a little bit of a story. It's kind of funny. I wasn't there. I think I was at the show, but it was a fucking Jim slash Don exaggerated story, and the story was, I don't know if you guys ever know in the fucking Cleveland scene is there was if you guys know Dwayne Morris, he used to fucking anyone in the local Cleveland scene knows who he is. I'm sure a lot of you guys outside know. He's been in several bands and shit like that. Anyways, in the really early 2000s shit, he used to always set up like a distro, and at that time he was playing a lot. From the Depths was a big band he was playing, which I'm a huge fan of. And he'd either be selling, band stuff or just set up whatever. He'd have stand up stuff, shirts and decrepit shirts from the Depths and like demos on CDR and stuff like that. And how the story go? I forget what show they said he was at, and I think it was either decrepit or from the Depths. And guy goes and buys a fucking a shirt. He's all excited. He's like, "Hey man, you got any fucking decrepit t-shirts?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, sure do. Got it on." He's like, "Okay, I want this CD, that CD, this CD, that CD." This. He buys like a stack of CDs like this. Store I heard, right? And fucking, he's like, so yeah, now get that decrepit shirt. So he's got a fucking bought a stack of CDs off Dwayne and a goddamn and a decrepit shirt. And they so excited he can't even wait. He fucking just takes his current shirt off, puts his fucking decrepit shirt on. He's like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." And he says, ask Dwayne, "Hey, can you hang on to my CDs? I'm gonna go our show." "Sure, man, no problem. I got you." Fucking goes in there. Guy goes in the pit, gets fucking knocked the fuck out. He's laid out, passing the floor. Paramedics come. They go in there, check the guy. First thing they do is cut off his decrepit shirts. They put him on a stretcher. They're walking the guy out. He's walking. The boy's like, "Whoa, whoa, hold up." Grabs a stack of CDs, whoosh, right beside the guy's body. "All right, you can go now." That's the story I heard. Don't know how true it is. Does that sound believable, Devils? They said that's what happened. So I thought that was pretty goddamn funny. Gray Area 51. What's up, Jdog? Anyway, I was just curious as to what you think about Avulsed. I personally like Dave Rotten's other bands, like Putrevore and Christ Denied, but Avulsed still has some good ones. You know what? I like Avulsed a lot. And my favorite thing by them is probably Stab Wound Intercourse. Probably because that's the first thing I heard, but I thought it was really cool because it's like gory, guttural stuff and it's melodic. That was like a really cool combination. I do like the very early albums too. That are just more straight up brutal. And Evolves in general, I don't think that, in my opinion, I don't think they have a shitty album. I can't say I know every single one, but even some of the later ones, was it a Rituai Zombie, or spelled like the same? Maybe it's spelled in Spanish, I don't know. But Rituai Zombie, and there's a couple others around that album. And I think I own them all. It's all pretty good, solid shit. I thought it was pretty good. And Dave Rotten, actually, I get the vibe. I could be wrong. I get the vibe that he's actually one of the true fucking metalheads still, legitimately still listens to brutal shit and underground stuff, because he's even an order from us. We've traded with him like for his extreme music stuff. We've done trades with him and still do trade him with all the time. But he's actually physically ordered from us, and I've talked to him emails, and I just get the vibe that he's a legitimate um, metalhead and collector and still into this, as opposed to most guys. Like I've said it a million fucking times, and I'll say it again. Vast majority of the guys that reach that age, they drop the fuck off. At best case scenario, they may be listening to shit in the car and they're listening to some stuff, maybe just a CD burn or stuff in the car here and there. But for the most part, they're not like actively searching shit out, buying it, and collecting records, and like kind of like when they were teenagers, they're not doing that shit no more. There's guys, like, there is guys that do for sure, and I know because they order from us. But for the vast majority of the time, they're not, and that's why when I say get guys like Dave Rotten, I'm almost like, fuck, I'd like to meet this guy because him and I would probably hit it off. Again, I could be wrong. He could be the biggest dickhead in the world. I don't fucking know. I get that's the impression I get, and based on the stories I got, it's like this is a fucking fucking true metalhead who likes fucking brutal shit still at his age. He's got to be, I don't know, he's got to be pushing 50, right? And it's just rare that he's been in that before. He's definitely been in this longer than I have been, and he's still into it. So it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like him and I would have a decent amount in common. So, yeah. And I think the Christ Denied, yeah, I thought the Christ Denied was good. My favorite stuff with Christ Denied was probably the split CD with Aborted. I do like that disc. That would probably be my favorite thing. And then the Christ Denied split 7-inch with Hemorrhage. Probably those two things. That's probably my favorite stuff. But yeah, Avulsed would be my favorite stuff of everything he did, and specifically the Stab Wound Intercourse. Great fucking album. Yeah, not too many people bring them up. Although I always said for years that they're pretty underrated. But the good news is, ever since Extreme Music's been reissuing a lot of the Avulsed albums, we get them and they sell pretty well. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like people, it's maybe not as underrated as I thought. I was like, maybe people just forget to bring them up, but maybe a lot of people like them because it's a pretty steady seller every single time. That tells me that okay, cool. People do know about them, people do like them, which is good to see because yeah, they've been around a long ass fucking time. I mean, what was the first album? The Eminence, Putrescence, or whatever, and or is it the Carnivoracity? The Carnivoracity, the first LP. Was that fucking 91? I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. 90, 91? Sounds about that. So very early 90s at the at the latest. So yeah, I mean, been around fucking over 30 years, longer than a lot of the Devil's Comedy ever been alive. So yeah, I think that they know this we're back shit, fucking, Misfits, Archgoat, and whoever else fucking style. Gone for 20 years, been around for 30 years. No, you haven't. None of that nonsense either. Never fucking. It's just a long stretch of time to be around, still doing albums and all respectable albums. At least I've never heard anything that sucks. There might be an album or two that I haven't heard, but for the most part, I have. I've definitely heard at least 85% of it, if not all of it. And I've never heard something like this fucking blows. Not at all. So yeah, fairly respectable band, and so it's good to see that people picked up on it and are still buying it and picking it up because, like I said, every time I get it, it does move pretty steady. It doesn't fly out the door, but it's steady move. So yeah, that's what I think. Vols is great. If you haven't heard them, check out fucking the Vols. Goddammit. That's it for this one, Devils. See you tomorrow, bright and fucking early, and make sure to leave those goddamn comments when you see this one. Later.